So I want to talk a little bit about how we evaluate poultry because it is a little bit different than evaluating cattle or swine. So you're going to look at the live bird and you're going to evaluate them by assessing deformities, their body conformation, and also their breast meat quantity. And they're classified as either keep or cull. So you're not going to necessarily place them like in order from best to worst. You're going to classify them as, yes, we want to keep this bird in the breeding rotation, or no, we don't. And this improves the overall flock traits that are passed on to their offspring. So really, if you're going to evaluate a bird, you need to have the bird stand and also look at them move to accurately assess their traits and their characteristics. So this refers to the bird's structure. So you want to look at the width across the shoulder. The wider the shoulders are, the more meat they're going to be able to carry. The length of their back, again, it's a meat quantity thing. The depth of the body, the spring of the rib, and the width of the keel. This all contributes to how much meat can they carry and how well are they going to carry themselves. So deformities. Deformities, these are going to refer to traits that the birds carry that are going to cause them to be culled from the flock or removed from the flock to prevent those undesirable characteristics being passed on to future generations. Common deformities include severely crooked toes. This causes the bird a very difficult time walking. Leg and foot abnormalities, so very crooked legs, things like that. A crossed beak. Crossed beak could be a problem because they won't be able to intake food quite as well, which means they're not going to be able to produce as much meat. And then also severely crooked back is going to, this sounds terrible, but it's going to end up making your carcass look unsightly. So if you go to a grocery store and you see this nice, what you would think of as kind of a nice prepackaged whole chicken carcass that you can take home, it's a ready to cook bird, you can take it home and put it in the oven. And you see that doesn't have any deformities in it, and then you see another one sitting next to it that's got a severely crooked back, you're probably going to think that something went wrong in production with that bird. And that may not necessarily be the case. It might be that the bird had a deformity and nothing happened in the processing of that bird that made that carcass look like that. It might just be that that carcass is like that because the bird had that deformity genetically. And so you're going to lose money on that as a producer. Consumers are not going to want to purchase that poultry carcass over a nice, pretty uniform carcass like we normally see in the grocery store. So these are just some examples of the deformities we talked about. So up in the top left, we have the severely crooked toes. The bottom left is the crooked back. You can kind of see the tail feathers are completely off to one side. And then the crossed beak is over here on the right. This bird is going to have a very hard time eating. And that's a major problem because if they can't eat, they can't consume nutrients, they can't grow that meat quality that we need them to get. You also want to look at breast meat quantity. So this is very closely related to body conformation. The bigger the skeleton of the bird, the more meat they can carry. And it measures the amount of meat the bird carries. And so you can measure length, width, and depth, and how much muscle is carried on the bird. So that length, width, and depth really kind of tells you how much muscle is carried on the bird, but you can measure it for itself as well. So when you're looking at birds and you're evaluating them, you want to kind of make them stand up, and then they say to ask the animal to walk, but you're not going to look at a chicken and say, hey, can you take a couple steps for me? You're going to have to kind of like poke them and nudge them and encourage them to move for you. But you want to see them walk, and that will help you evaluate their legs, their feet, and their toes. All right, as always, please let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or accusations. Thanks so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it.